Welcome back to another delightful episode of Dimes 2. I'm Rafi.
Dimes two, didn't we decide to change it to two
Dang it!
dimes
All right, next time we'll change it.
or
Paradigms.
paradigms?
We'll keep,
Paradigms. Oh, I just got it.
yeah. All
That's
right,
great.
well, we'll keep the puns rolling and we'll keep on going. My
Um,
co-host, this is John. Say hi, John. I'm kidding.
Hi, John.
All right, that's great. So we're going to give a little bit of updates about the $1,000 savings challenge, and we are also going to talk about budgeting strategies and what people can use to manage their money better.
Yeah, so we started the challenge on Habitica. Let's see if I can sign in. It was crashing every time I tried to use the app.
Oh no.
Now
Last time we checked, we had I think 27 people join us.
Yep.
It looks like we're at 29. That's great.
Let's see if no, the app just crashed again. Let me go through the browser.
That's all right. Yeah. The
Oh,
app doesn't allow us to see the percentage of people at which stage just because the tasks are ever. But I have checked in with a few of the people that are in the challenge right now, and it seems like some of them have reached at least $200 to $500, if not $700. So like, keep it up. Yep, I'm just looking at a couple users, and they're already at the $200 mark, which is great.
yeah. And some of the people, of course, were just like, oh, look, this is a free challenge because I already have $1,000 in the bank,
Yeah,
so I'm good to go.
yeah. So that's
So,
great. I mean, if you already have the financials, that's awesome.
yeah, so I'm not sure if I just created a new account or if I logged in. Anyway, I can't really tell.
That's all right. Well, let's
Yeah,
talk a little bit about where we are
yeah,
um, in our challenges and how close we are getting to a million.
right.
Sorry, a
Okay,
thousand.
first, a million.
Did I say a million?
Yeah,
Was
you
it lofty goals?
emergency savings, just something to fall back on. Million, cool million.
A
Uh,
small loan.
So for me, Labor Day and a couple of dates have been expensive, as well as I decided to go to a wedding at the end of October. So I've so far bought the flight, which was about $250, $260. So not a bad price, but still, by the time I get the flight, rental car, any incidental going out to eat that'll surely happen. Looking at 500, $600, which is most of the spending for a month. I think I haven't done the math exactly on how much I've spent this month, but I'm on a run rate probably to spend somewhere around 500.
500. Okay.
So that'll probably give me a chance to put in 200 into savings.
Not bad.
Well, so that 250 wasn't included in there. So that 250 would go, I'm going to try to keep under 700 for the month, including the 250 for the flight. Maybe I can put away a little bit this month. October will be cheaper, oddly, because the flight will already be paid for, which is the biggest ticket item in the trip.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the first part is just being aware of what you're spending it on and the choices that you make. And it's not
Right.
like we're giving up all life pleasures just to hit this number.
Right.
But that's cool. That's cool.
Somebody's honking their horn, huh?
Yeah. For me, I've been eating out a little bit more than I usually do. Um, Whenever someone leaves the island here on Hawaii, there's usually a lot more activities. So I'm hopefully looking to land somewhere around the $500 mark.
Okay.
Um, So I'm close to spending about $200 so far this month, which is pretty great considering what I usually spend. So I consider that an awesome achievement. But we'll wait and see because there's still half a month left.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have a relatively cheaper second half because no Labor Day. Um, so I am spending a bit to go see some fringe shows.
Yeah. And I think this kind of leads us right into budgeting strategies that we could talk about. So there's a lot of different ones out there. The one that I used for when I had a job, because it's great when you have consistent income, because then you can plan better. But I used a loose rule. So I took the average of my spending for last year, and then I said I'm good to be within 10%. And this is just made up, so there's no
Well,
science behind it.
just kind of as a, how did you find out how much you spent last year?
Oh, so I track all my credit card statements. So I went to my bank and I downloaded all credit card activities for the last year. And I threw in any activities that aren't on my credit card. Usually those are like either incredibly big spends or sometimes I'll do like the occasional PayPal, but that's like
Mhm.
once in a blue moon. And I put it all in a spreadsheet and I categorize it. There's a lot of free apps out there that do this for you. I just like, I started with a spreadsheet and I just keep that data to myself. Um, but what I do is like plus or minus 10%,
Okay.
and it allows me to choose saying, oh, I overspent on restaurants this month. I could choose other categories that I want to cut back on. So like social activities or, um, whatever the thing is, personal items. Um, and that way I don't feel guilty about overspending that one month. Like you mentioned a wedding. Like you're going to go to a wedding, right? The cost of not going to a wedding is pretty big. So it allows me to kind of not stress about overspending in any given specific category because I could always transfer or save and cut back the same amount in something else. So as long as I'm within 10% of that average month to
Right.
month per se, it's fine. And if I do go over, which I do, um, I just make sure that the next month I compensate that.
Right.
Yeah, so I just follow averages. I don't have like the hard rules. What about you, John?
Uh, I maybe non-traditional, uh, but it's worked for me from being very poor to having plenty of money, which is basically restricted um, by increasing my automatic savings rate. If I have more money, if I find myself spending a lot of money, I will uh, basically increase my savings rate so that I have less money to spend.
Right.
And then this creates a feeling of, oh, I don't have much money. I need to like cut back on going out or whatever it is.
There you go. The perceived quantity, and that works so much. Like with buffets, like if you have like food lying out, um, they call it interrupts, I think, in the food industry. But so think about like you have a box of candy, right? And you could open it up, and each could be individually wrapped, or they could be like open. And you just have to pluck them out of the little holders. And they found that just the simple act of like opening up a wrapper slows people down and limits the amount of candy that they eat because they have visible evidence of how much they've been eating, right?
Right.
Not only do they see the empty holes, but they see all the wrappers everywhere, which looks like a lot of stuff. And they find that it actually reduces it. So, like a lot of the people in the food industry was talking about obesity rates, and so it's kind of playing the same psychological trick. When you have less money available, um, you change your behavior.
Right. Yep. And I somehow lived cheaply enough when I was making, well, when I was making 9.50 an hour, I lived with my parents. When I was making it was 13 and then $15 an hour, I was living on my own. This was before grad school. and that limited income, I had enough to cover rent, which was not expensive. It was like $300 a month for a shared 2-bedroom basement apartment with another housemate. But you know, occasionally I would go out to eat and spend money that way. But there's a lot of eating in and a lot of doing laundry at my parents' house, and driving a Toyota Corolla, and having a 5-10 minute commute. So my expenses were just really low. And now my expenses are a lot higher, but I've allowed them to go up. I could live a lot more you,
Yeah.
but I have enough income to cover.
Yeah. And
What's with the feedback?
sorry, that's my a car. I'm gonna mute myself because I'm downtown Oahu.
Okay.
But yeah, that sounds interesting because I know a lot of people fall into this trap, and it even goes up all the way to like doctors and lawyers, people making, well over 6 figures, is that they allow their budgets to expand, they allow their spend to expand because like why not enjoy the fruits of labor? Um, and they wind up in similar situations where they just don't have the savings, they don't have the spends to maintain their lifestyle, or even a lifestyle less than that if they lose their jobs. So it's the golden cages, so to speak. Um, and so like
Well,
it's not just people, on 24K a year salaries or income. Yeah. So there's another one that's a pretty common technique, which is the envelope technique. I don't know if you've ever used this one, John.
I've not used it, but that's the standard go-to recommendation for a lot of people.
Yeah. And for those people that don't know about it, the envelope technique is where you separate your essentials and non-essential items and you write them down on envelopes. So you would have a food envelope, you would have a rent envelope, you would have, medical envelope, and then you would decide how much you need to spend per month, um, or per week, whatever you want to do with the envelopes, and you actually get cash. You take it cash out, and you stuff the envelopes. And so that way, when the envelope is empty, you can't spend more on that category, unless you're literally taking it out of another category. So it's kind of like the tangible version of what I'm doing, and it goes back to how our brain works. Is that I've lost my credit card twice now that I've been here, um, and
Wow.
going back to like 100% cash has made me realize just how much money I spend because I'm literally taking out like $1 bills, right, for the grocery store or whatever it is. And so it just made it's such a visual reinforcement of just exactly how much you're spending.
Yeah.
So if you do have problem budgeting, like go cash.
Yeah. And it's impossible to run up a credit card debt if you're only spending cash.
That's right. That is true.
Yeah. Which is something that I haven't gotten into big trouble, but it wouldn't be hard for me to get into big trouble with credit card debt.
I mean, the interest rates are insane. I've only been late a couple times, and that's been like a day, maybe two, just because I've been incredibly conscious of paying on time because like that racks up real quick.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are a few budgeting techniques that you could apply to your own life. I think we're doing relatively well in the challenge. It's like right where my expectations were, at least for my spend. Um,
Yeah. And leave a comment if you have joined our challenge through the Habitica. I don't know how to say that word, but I like saying it. Habitica.
Habitica, yeah. Yeah, so join it. The challenge name, if you're curious, is going to be there's a link down in the description below, but it's called Dimes 2 Emergency $1,000 Fund. And that's the number, not spelled out 1,000. And we're going to change the name because we decided on a new name, and that's Paradigms.
Yeah. I didn't even get it till you said it out loud, but I love it.
Because we're a Paradigms.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, stay tuned. We're excited to continue and get to the end of this challenge, hopefully within the next couple of months. And we'll be talking about um, what we could do beyond budgeting once we have this emergency fund and how to think about, okay, now I have the minimum bar met. What's our next steps?
Yep. Great.
Great. Till next
Well,
time.
talk to you later, Rafi.